nice.
Hey YouTubers, Grimmy Dragon here, and there comes a time in a character's career where they have this big epic moment that is the highlight, the greatest moment of their careers. Unfortunately, sometimes that moment comes as their swan song, as one of our more well-known characters in Transformers lore ultimately learned. For at the moment of his crowning achievement, he met his untimely end. That would be none other than Starscream. And we're going to be looking at the MP11 masterpiece version of Starscream, which does its best to capture Starscream's greatest moment before his ultimate demise. Okay, now that we have Starscream in his jet mode, well, this is quite the interesting one, since this is basically a retooling of MP03. And I kind of imagine that the conversation that went into designing this particular version of Starscream is somewhere along the lines is, how can we make MP03 not suck? You know, I'm probably being very harsh on that, but yeah, I'm sure something to that idea was drawn up in conversations for this guy, because there have been a lot of tweaks made to try to make this mold better. But some of the tweaks did come with a sacrifice or two. Most obviously would be in the way that the jet mode is done. As you can see, it's a little bit blocky in the middle, which is fairly different from the MP03 mold, which had a very sleek centerpiece to, like, a body to it. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can bring in the only version of MP03 I have, which is Ghost Starscream. And yeah, let's see if I can bring this up a little bit, because I need some room to work with. Here we go. Yeah, but yeah, as you can see, the MP03 had a very sleek design to the jet mode to make it as much of a streamlined jet as possible. Having most angles is hiding the fact that this is a robot very well. Like, you have to actually put it on the back to see any robot parts, which are limited to the arms and the back of the head. Well, and the fists and bits of the chest. Okay, so there is quite a bit there, which is understandable. Underside, that's always how it's done. But from any other angle, it'd be hard to tell this from a model jet. But in the MP11's case, it's a little easier to notice the robot bits. As you can see, these areas here are a lot blockier than the smoother parts on the MP03. And the wing tips have even been redone a bit to blend them in slightly, but still keep that blockiness. This is mostly for the robot mode, and it may have been just because they wanted to keep a little bit of a blocky look to it. I'm not sure exactly why. But, yeah. Whatever the reason, it looks good. I mean, and yes, his landing gear is loose. It's only on this particular version, like the Starscream one. My Thundercracker, Sunstorm, and Acid Storm have fine landing gear. I don't know why it's loose on him. But that said, yeah, there is a slight difference between the two. Well, more than slight difference between the two in this particular form. But it's not as, it's not as much of a big deal as one would think. I mean, if you like the jet mode better, like if you prefer to display them in vehicle mode, MP03 is probably your best bet. Robot mode, the MP11 is the best bet. But we'll get this out of the way for now and focus a little bit more on what else this has to offer. So as you can see, it does have the fully working landing gear, even though this part is loose. And it is hide away pretty well too. You can just fold that up. And fold those in, and then you got no landing gear. It still looks pretty cool. And this is a mold that had a lot of tricks to it as MP03, and a lot of them are present and accounted for, or at least ready to be utilized. Like for example, the cockpit does open up to have room for a little minifigure. The one included with Starscream being a translucent blue to be a hologram. So he has a hologram pilot, which is pretty cool. And if you zoom out a little bit, you can open up the nose cone, much like MP03, to reveal a radar assembly, which is real nice. Close that up. The wing flaps work, so you can simulate him going up. They don't fold up any further than this though, so you gotta look out for that. And also, you have an engine inside the jet, which will actually feature into a improvement on this particular version of the mold. You also got an air brake on the top, which is real nice, and the piston is actually die-cast metal too. This is a nice touch. Deco-wise, it is Starscream to a T. You got the familiar stripes, the Decepticon symbols, one on the nose cone. So you got plenty of nice paint apps here. Stripes on the tail fins are done well. And all the colors are bright and vibrant. So he does look beautiful in this form. Now what he doesn't have that the MP03 had for jet mode is basically the flight stand. I know all the Hasbro releases have gotten that flight stand, but MP11 did not get it. Nor did he get the missiles or the clip for the Megatron gun. Even though he still has that hole right at the bottom, so he could use it from any of the previously mentioned figures. So yeah. He doesn't have the missiles, like I said, but he does have the null rays. They actually are attached permanently, so they don't even come off when transforming into robot mode, which is an achievement, I think. And yeah, I think that'll cover all the differences from MP03 and even the Hasbro releases. And Starscream is getting a Hasbro release. I don't know how much the deco will differ from MP11. I do know that he's not including certain accessories that I'll get into later for this particular toy. But before that, I think it's time we went for some comparisons. So first and foremost, let's compare him to G1 Starscream. And this is the Takara storybook release, so he has the lighter blue. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities. Probably not the fairest comparison, since this is not the original version of the Starscream figure, but it works. And yeah, you can see that the decos have a lot in common, although they changed the color of the nose cone from blue to gray. So take that as you see fit, but it's the only real difference that I can see between them. Before I get into the next comparison, I almost forgot. These little thrusters are on ball joints, so you can move them around and adjust them, which is cool. But for the next comparison, we'll bring them in with Universe 2.0 Starscream. Considerably smaller, brighter white, brighter red, and darker blue. But you get the idea how they are similar. But you could also see the differences and really see how the Masterpiece heavily improves on the concept of classics. So that said, I think it's time we got Starscream into robot mode and see how he looks there. Okay, first thing about the robot mode, transformation, much like MP03 and most third parties, is about as fun as trying to pull out teeth with a rusty pair of pliers. Yeah, it's very complicated and it can take a while to get the hang of. Not to mention some of the joints can be very tight and the tabs can work against each other when you're trying to undo everything. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating. But aside from that, we got a really nice robot mode here. I do have a couple nitpicks. Mainly that the neck is a little bit high up for my taste. Just feels like it's higher than it should be given the way the shoulders are. That's about the major nitpicks of it. What I really like about this particular version of Starscream compared to his MP03 mold, he can stand on his own! You don't know how much of a big deal that is unless you've owned MP03. That thing could not stand on its own very well, no matter what. And the main reason that this one can stand so... That's a common thing. Happens with every Masterpiece Seeker mold ever in existence. But the main reason this guy can stand so well is because he has these nice heel spurs that were made from those engine parts in the vehicle mode. So they come out, form these really nice heel spurs, and enable Starscream to stand very well. And that is triumphant in itself. Can't tell you how happy I am that he can actually stand. As you can see, everything works very nicely. So yeah, he looks great. He stands beautifully. And that's one of those things you gotta gush about when you look at MP11. How well he can stand on his own. And if I can get my camera to stay up, there we go. I think we got it. But yeah. Yeah, standing is a big deal. Especially if you got these on a display shelf. But yeah, other than that, he looks great. I mean, the colors are right, dead on. The deco's done right well. And he really does look very close to his G1 cartoon appearance. Although with a little bit more kibble in the back than the G1 character had. But that can't be helped. And yeah, that is a gripe where the waist just comes up, like the torso just comes up like that. Why don't we get a good look at the head next? If I can get this pointed at the head. There we go. That's a very nice looking head sculpt. You can see these two things are spring loaded to help him move his head into that little tiny space that was designed for a much smaller head, for a much thinner head actually. Although he does lose a gimmick in the head where he could actually change to a smirking face. But given that the head's more accurate all around, I can let that go easy enough. As you can see, he does have his intakes where they should be. The wings are right. And everything looks really good. In fact, to get a look at the differences between him and the original version, let's bring in our Ghost of Starscream here. And yeah, I got him positioned just right to stand on his own. It's not easy, but it is possible. He stands much easier. As you can see, hopefully, I know he's made of mostly translucent plastic, but kind of bear with me here. There is a significant bit more kibble on Ghost Starscream than there is on the MP11 Starscream. Like there are a couple bits on the sides of the vents. His head's a little thinner and smaller. And, oh yeah, you got those big fins on his hips. He doesn't have them, they're on the legs. And a little bit of engineering you first seen on like the iGear knockoffs. But it's nice that Takara actually made note and found a way to work it into the to a new version and improve the toy all around. And yes, I am calling the iGear Seekers knockoffs because they pretty much use the exact same mold as MP03. They just changed the legs, that's it. But yeah, as far as the overall look, because I'd say the MP11 is a drastic improvement. So yeah, I'm very happy with my MP11 Starscream. So let's get MP03 out of the way. And let's look at some features that are on this guy. And the biggest feature I'm saving for absolute last, so bear with me on that. We'll just look at the features that are on the mold itself. And really, there's not much that I can really get into. But he does retain the chest missiles. that the MP-03 had, and they are painted. That's nice white to really pop out and look like they're ready to blow something up. Let's go into the arms here. Okay, if I can, I'll just get this on. As you can see, the null rays are actually on a ball jointed strut, so they can be moved and manipulated to go where you want them, and be moved to go onto the underside of the wings without having to detach them, which is a pretty nice feature. Now there are some accessories that will add another feature to him, but I'm going to get into those later like I mentioned. First I want to get some comparisons in. First of all, with G1 book reissue Starscream, who has the Megatron gun. Starscream can hold the Megatron gun that comes with Soundwave if you want to use that. I don't have it with me. I think it's in the other room, but it does work. Just taking a look real quick. No, it's not with me, so oh well, not a big deal. But we'll also bring in Universe 2.0 Starscream. And yeah, I mean, there's a definite size difference, but there's also the colors and all that. You know, as far as mold goes, for like the molds go, I might like the classics just a little bit better, but the MP11 Masterpiece is really high up there. So those two are really close for definitive version for me. But it kind of helps that MP11 Starscream is in the right colors. So yeah. But getting these out of the way, we have one more important comparison to bring in, and that's with some other MP class characters that he goes so well with. Well, one MP class character at least, and that's Soundwave. So you can see Soundwave's a bit bigger, but they do look really good together. And I do like the way that they kind of blend in. And of course, we got to get a version of Megs in this. Of course, I don't have MP-05 Megatron, which was, I hear, a mess, but I do have the Combiner Wars Leader Megatron. Oh, let's see. Who actually is taller than MP Starscream and goes very well with him as well. And that's a kind of a double there, but yeah, he also looks great with MP11 Starscream. So if you keep your Decepticons separated from your Autobots, he will display great with Megs. You know, it's just because Megs won't display well with Optimus. That's an entirely different story altogether. But the bottom line is, Starscream goes great with the other Masterpiece Decepticons, and I think he works out really good. So, that said, there is one more feature to get into, because this is 1986 movie figure marathon. And Starscream had a really big moment in that movie. A moment of glory that led to a moment of tragedy. But we're going to focus on the glory part. Because if you comes with these accessories here that just peg onto his shoulders. I can get this to slide in right. There we go. Get that down. And slides on the back thing here, like so. There we go, looking good so far. Very regal. And all that's left is to put on the chromed crown. And there you have it. Starscream's iconic moment where he finally gained leadership of the Decepticons. Only to have Galvatron disintegrate him 5 seconds later. Fun while it lasted, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, this is the real reason to get the MP11. You can really recreate that movie scene very well. I mean, the cape can billow out. If you want, it's on a pair of ball joints. There's also a hinge, so you can have it going out like that. Oh, it's kind of hard to get the null rays to work with you, but you can. But you can get that nice, epic looking pose of him getting his ultimate victory. Which is really cool. And again, kind of a highlight of the figure. Just to have this regal crown, cape, and shoulder armor to recreate that moment. And it is a beautiful set. Sadly, the Hasbro version that's coming out will not include the crown or the cape or the shoulder pads, which is a terrible shame. And so if you really want to get the most out of this Starscream, you're going to have to hunt down the Takara version. Okay, so that will wrap up our little look at Starscream, the Masterpiece 11 version. A really great figure, worthwhile getting. I highly recommend them. Again, Hasbro's releasing a version of this toy in stateside later in this year, but he's not going to have the coronation gear. So if the coronation gear is a big deal for you, you still want to try to get the Takara version. Otherwise, yeah, the Hasbro version is going to come with the stand and missiles. Pretty standard with the Hasbro Seekers so far. But, you know, that's enough about Starscream. It's time for our finale. It's time for the last video of this marathon of movie-based characters. And we gotta do this right. We gotta end this right, you know. There's only one guy that we can end this with. And it's gotta be Unicron. So, tune in Friday as we finish up this marathon. The only way it can be finished properly with Unicron. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to see more, and share with your friends. Anyway, I'll see you next time, so take care, so long, have fun, and bye-bye.